players and the bookmakers' favourites for the title, Arsenal. Penalty given there after 25 minutes, and referee Roger Milford absolutely right. If we look at it again, Tommy Caton pulling the shirt off Alan Smith's back. Now, Brian Marwood missed a penalty here at Carrow Road a couple of weeks ago. No mistakes this time round. Arsenal, though, took a real battering in the second half, but proved themselves the master of the counter-punch. Bob Boulder not too pleased with his punch there. Merson makes it 2-0. Coming up, though, a tremendous last 15 minutes. Charlton on a dangerous spiral, 9 without a win. They're going to need all this fighting spirit to stay in the First Division. Campbell with the cross, and the substitute, Steve McKenzie, touches it in. Just a couple of minutes later, a fine first-time ball there from Rocastle. Merson in the clear. Off the post, and Marwood is in for his second goal. Well, Charlton still had time for the best goal of the game from Steve McKenzie. Arsenal, though, atop. George Graham, the manager.
Alan Smith has scored! Spink fists, only straight to Rocastle. The chance is on! The goal...
Just like old times at Villa Park, over 30,000 there, but they saw the home side get off to a dreadful start, just a couple of minutes gone, and the normally reliable keeper Nigel Spink won't be too happy with his punch there. Alan Smith first to the ball, his 16th goal of the season. And Nigel Spink at fault here again, I'm afraid, but David Rocastle, what skill from outside the penalty area. Well, Arsenal, 26 away goals, 10 more than anybody else. Their 7th away win, this, sealed by the substitute Perry Groves with just a couple of minutes to go. And don't forget, it's Arsenal Spurs, live at 5 tomorrow.
In the league's history. But perhaps for Arsenal their time has come at last. For without ever being in total control, they still managed a half-time lead. Merson's oblique shot deceiving the despairing Mims. A shot helped by a fortunate bounce off the pitch. And just when Spurs thought they'd played themselves back into it, Arsenal's lucky streak continued. Lukic felling Waddle, and somehow getting away with it. Terry Venables would no doubt be interested to hear the referee's version. But in the second half, Spurs added to their own problems with a bout of goal shyness. Stewart the biggest culprit. And by the end, they were too stretched to avoid Arsenal's Thomas from making the scoreline look unbalanced. Peter Staunton, ITN Sport, Highbury.
At Loftus Road, Norwich looked anything but...
George Graham won't thank me for saying it, but Arsenal looked championship class at Goodison Park. Paul Merson really on a roll in front of goal, his 6th in his last 7 games. David Rocastle was the instigator, just as he was again 7 minutes later. Alan Smith with a splendid header, number 17 for Alan. But surely the happiest Arsenal player at this latest significant win, Kevin Richardson, the scorer of the 3rd. Richardson knows what it takes to win a championship. He did it with Everton in 1985. Their only goal yesterday came when Dave Watson headed on the last Everton touch from substitute Neil MacDonald. Referee Keith Hackett ruled it had crossed the line.
But last week, Sheffield Wednesday showing signs of improvement. Hemmed in by Arsenal pressure, but let off the hook by some woeful finishing. They kept their cool. Imre Berardi's solid technique when and where it mattered, although George Graham was critical of Lukic. Arsenal off to Bermuda for a mid-season break, stretched their lead over Norwich to 6 points when Smith and Merson underlined the potency of their partnership. Smith the provider, what a cracker from Merson. His 8th in 9 games. Bon voyage, chaps.
Anfield hardly...
It took the leaders Arsenal nearly an hour to break through against West Ham. In fact, there were 3 very soft goals scored at Highbury. The first by the substitute, Perry Groves, on for the injured Brian Marwood. Arsenal's most impressive player was Paul Merson. And he takes full advantage as West Ham are caught square. Unselfish piece of work as well for Alan Smith, his 19th of the season. The keeper McKnight won't be happy about the way it went in. And then Arsenal show the charitable side of their nature. Their defence opening up late on for Julian Dix. But Arsenal still 3 points clear at the top with a game in hand, but West Ham bottom and in deep trouble.
Charlton were in the deservedly took the lead after 14 minutes. Cascarino's cross and an unmarked Jimmy Carter with the header.
But just as Arsenal were facing defeat, they struck with 2 goals late in the second half. The first this drive from Marwood. And the winner 9 minutes from time from Alan Smith, his 19th goal of the season.
The leaders Arsenal really had to battle for the points at George Graham's old club Millwall. That's Cascarino forcing an error out of Tony Adams, and Jimmy Carter in with a header. What a time he's having, his 4th in the last 6 matches. Arsenal very much on the retreat in the first half, but what a transformation in the second. Arsenal showing all the resilience and commitment that makes champions. Alan Smith with a knock-on, and Brian Marwood with a stunning equaliser. Alan Smith knows he's got to keep doing the stuff for Arsenal to keep in the England picture. And watch for some splendid reactions from him in the penalty area as Marwood sets up just a half chance. Comes to Smith.